Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw tips and tricks. I drew this last night and it can be printed out on a regular printer, 8.5 by 11. You print it out and then cut along the lines and it looks like this. And if we roll a pencil across it, it looks like it's raised up from the bed. I will share this file. If you will email me, I've got it saved in X7 right now. If you have anything older than X7, let me know. I'll put this link at the bottom of the video. But I almost urge you kind of draw your own. And so I'm just going to go through this real quick. I'm going to take a 2-point line and I'm going to make it blue and I'm going to leave it at 1 point. And I'm going to change my nudge factor to 1/2 inch. And I'm going to Control D. You know, that's too much for this small. Let's make it a 0.125. And if you Control D down, it'll stay perpendicular. Whoop, that's too long for a piece of paper. Back up quite a bit. And then I would group this together, Control G. And then I'm going to put a line, a red line, like a notebook, piece of notebook paper. So we're just going to take the 2-point line, holding down the control button so it'll stay perpendicular. And I'm going to leave it red. I might make it 2 points. Now we need to put the holes for the paper. And I'm just going to make them black, take away the outline. And because I've got my nudge factor set on 0.125, I'm going to leave it there and put it like right there. And then I'm going to Control D, put it at the bottom. Matter of fact, if I hold down the control button, it'll be perfectly even. And then nudge it up to the same part. Probably the easiest way to split it would be to go to Effects and Blend. And we're just going to blend one time and that put another hole in the side. Now I'm going to Control G and I'm going to group it. But I'm going to rotate the paper. And at this time, I could probably make it a little bit bigger because this is just a sheet of paper. I'm going to take a rectangle. Well, matter of fact, I'm not. I'm going to take let's make a 1 or a 0.5 rectangle. You know, that's really too small. 0.25 or too big. I'm going to change my nudge factor to 0.25. And I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate, Control D, make a duplicate, and then Control D and go down. I'm just using the arrow keys. I'm going to go ahead and make all these lines black. And then I'm going to take my Smart Fill tool. And I don't know what, it doesn't really matter what color you use, RGB or CMYK. And then I'm going to do like this. And you really don't have to fill that in with white because the paper is going to be white. So I'm going to Control G and I'm going to group that. And then I'm going to rotate it. And I might do this later and maybe even try to skew this where it's kind of different. You know what? I can make it a little bit bigger. And let's set it like right there. And the reason I angled it because I want to get all 3 corners of it. I'm going to take a 2-point line and go from that node downwardly. And then I'm just going to have these meet. And if you remember right, I grouped my paper, so I'm going to move my paper out of the way for this. I'm going to take a Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to do like a light gray. Then I'm going to make the lines back to 2 points and put them like really in front. I'm going to take, before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rectangle tool and I'm going to fill this in. And I get that shape, and that is going to be our shadow in a minute, kind of like the whole shape of it. I'm going to take this one section, and I'm going to go to the interactive fill tool. Probably not 100% necessary, but make it look like a little depth. Maybe not quite so much. And then do the same on this side. And they do not have, I wouldn't think they'd have to be equal because we're looking at it two different lights, but something like that. Bring that down a little bit. Now we're going to nudge our notebook paper back over. And you can kind of see it looks like it's standing. It's probably a little, this is probably a little bit too tall. And then we're going to take this and we're going to move it like to right there. And then we're going to rotate it from that point. Now your shadow should be probably not as long. And then what's really going to make it, I'm going to make it a little bit wider. And you can always reposition it. We probably don't want it off the paper. Have a little bit of trouble because I'm moving the rotation. Whoop. And if you don't hit that X, you get the shape tool. Come on. Then we still need to bring it in a little bit. And then probably the key would be able to go, while you got it selected, go up to Object, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And that's too much. That doesn't look too bad. You could actually make it a little bit darker. That looks pretty good. Maybe Gaussian Blur a little bit now. That looks pretty good. Then all you do is just cut along these lines, these lines, these lines, this line, and that real carefully, and you will get something that looks like that. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.